small group of demonstrators from the black community were in Leicester Quare London to show their anger and frustrations towards Glabal Radio, the owners of Capital Xtra, formerly Choice FM. The demonstrators were in the square demanding that Capital Xtra should maintain the core values and the playlist, according to the agreement between the owners of Choice FM and Glabal Radio.
What do we want? What do you want it? What do you want? What do you want it? What do you want? What do you want it?
I hope you're listening to that in Glabal. But unions do a lot more than that. VEC2 is the union for people who work in the film, broadcasting and entertainment industry. We've got a rule book that says that one of our key jobs is to campaign for race equality and diversity in these industries.
Choice FM was the home of Raggae, Soca, Calypso, Soul and Gospel. Since Choice FM was sold to Glabal Radio 10 years ago, the name changed to Capital Xtra and the content has been diluted. The black community is angry.
What do we want? What do we want it? What do we want? What do we want it? What do we want?
Hence taking off what was primarily a station for the Afro-Caribbean community. They turned it into urban dance station, which I can't really understand what urban dancing is about, but whatever. And basically, we would like them to put back on reggae, soca, and gospel, which is a main staple of the Afro-Caribbean community.
This is just a start. Today there were so many people I spoke to yesterday on the lastminute.com, and they said, damn, I didn't know this was going on. So don't be fooled by thinking there are not more people that are disheartened and being put out of place by this move by Glabal.
Lee Jasper explains.
I think we're moving towards our objective, and that objective is either restore the content as required by the original Ofcom license, or relinquish the license and let black businessmen and women compete for that license to provide a service to London's black communities. So we're making progress towards those objectives. Give up the license that was given by Ofcom for London's only Afro-Caribbean radio station. You should give that up, and then you can diversify as much as you like. That would be my response. This was a community license, so that it had to meet the needs of the community in terms of community events, in terms of speech-based content and news, in terms of making sure reggae, soca and Afrobeat was played. They're not fulfilling the terms of the license. So either Ofcom force them to comply with the license, or take the license off them and reissue it to somebody else. I think our black businesses really have to take the lead in fighting for economic parity and justice for our community. We are not putting our campaigning pressure on the authorities in order to make sure that we get what our just deserves. And central to that is the failure of black businesses to work together in order to secure an economy for our community.
There's no doubt that if you take any entity and point it towards its commercial sphere, it will make more money. But the radio station wasn't born to be as commercial as possible. It was born to serve the Afro-Caribbean society, the people, the community, to talk about things like peace on the streets, to try to get black folks to, come and be tested, to give blood, all these kind of things, as well as play reggae, play soca, play black music. So yes, it's a business, and you want to try to make your business as successful as possible. So if I can use an analogy, if you have 4 shops and one of them is a Chinese store selling Chinese food, and the next one is a West Indian store selling West Indian food, and the next one is a cafe selling burger and chips, if that's your license to sell burger and chips, then that's what you have to do. You can't suddenly decide that you want to go and sell a different type of food because it makes more money. We live in a democracy, but we also live in a world where there are rules and regulations. If the rules and regulations say that you have to have 20 plus hours of specialist programming, which must include reggae, gospel and soca music, then if you take on that license, you should be expected to follow that code. And if you don't follow the code, then you would expect the governing body to raise an eyebrow as to why you're not doing it. There are a lot of people who will sit on Facebook and Twitter and will talk about this and express their point of views, but see, it takes a different type of person to leave your house and sacrifice what you're doing to get the job done. So I can only use another analogy. Let me use an analogy to explain what I mean by that. There are the shepherds, there's the sheepdogs, and there's the sheep. The sheep don't necessarily know everything, but they have to be rounded up by the sheepdogs and pointed in the right direction, because the shepherds are usually too old to run after the sheep. So you have to play your role within this scenario here to make sure that it works. You know what I mean? They know that they can't hear the music that they really want to hear. They can't hear the artists that they necessarily want to hear. The people who love reggae are going to say, well, boy, I'm not going to hear any reggae anymore. They're not happy about it. Perhaps they got children, kids, jobs. There's lots of reasons why they can't be here. But it doesn't mean that because, that's why I say if 50 people turn up, that doesn't mean there's not hundreds more people who can't be here for whatever reason. So, as I said, the main focus point is the radio station is born to serve a community of people by playing black music and dealing with community aspects. By the way, next time there's a protest, you don't need to come out. It's all good sitting on Facebook and it's all good sitting on Twitter and having a lot to say. But see, times like this is where you separate the people who like to talk a lot and the people who want to come and be seen. The ones that are going to stand up and actually do something for what they believe in. So if you're watching this and you weren't there, perhaps you didn't know about it, next time we do it, you need to come and show some support. It's that simple. Like, to me, if you don't turn up to these things, you don't make your point heard, you don't voice your opinions, you don't write to Ofcom, you don't send emails, we're guilty of doing this a lot with a lot of things that are dear to us. And that's why a lot of it gets taken away. And that's the reason why I'm here. I don't care about no job, who's going to give me a radio job. That's not my concern right now. My concern is, even if I wasn't a DJ, I'd still be here because I know what this radio station stood for the amount of people who grew up listening to it. And that's what we want back.
This is what it's about. It's about us actually arguing and actually coming to complain about what Global is doing to the Choice FM brand, and in fact what they're doing to the black community via tampering with the music. Is the black community confusing business and community matters? It's a good question. So let's remember why Choice FM was created and why the license was given. The license was given after the 1985 riots in Brixton, Cherry Gross. That when she was killed and the riots happened, that's when the actual license and the actual English community realized that they weren't representing the black community in music, in art, in broadcasting, and that's why the license was given. So for us to be complaining about the eventual marginalization of what their original remit is for is not a confusion between business and broadcast. It's about the community is supposed to be represented by music, and that's the remit for this particular station. So even if it changes and adopts and becomes more business-wise, there still needs to be a respect of the original remit. The original remit has been thrown out the window, is not being respected, and the cause of the station being there in the first place was to echo and champion our particular flavour and our particular contribution to the UK, which is now being vetoed. This is what I say. I'm not here to save Choice FM. That's not the issue. The issue is bigger. There is a marginalization going on of black culture in the UK, and it's coming from all angles. It's coming from TV, it's coming from radio, it's coming from art, and it's not coincidental. And the reason why people are here today is to stand up and be a voice and actually suggest, no, you can't do that. So this is bigger than what this is about. Why can't we get together? We have stations. This is why now we need to focus on Bang Radio, we need to focus on Colourful Radio, and we need to exalt them to a certain position because they are black owned and they have the right intention to serve the whole of the English community with a particular flavour. So those things are there. It's about now protesting and saying, why are you doing this? And also uplifting and celebrating this scenario. Do I feel that the black community is together as a community in the UK? No. And I think this has been evident for a couple of years now. it's getting better. So over the generations, it's getting better. But in regards to the separation between the West African and the West Indian community, that's the biggest marginal gap. But they are working together a lot more, but they're not thinking as one. The difference between our community and everyone else's community is they think as one. The Pakistani Indian community will have differences in general, but they move as one in regards to their business, in regards to their long-term plans. We don't do the same thing, but we moan about, we're very consumer driven. And that's one of the things that we need to change.